If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's not because you're bad at coping or are doing anything wrong, it's just that your nervous system is over capacity. In this video, I'm going to give you 7 important signs of that and then give you 5 somatic steps to help you find your way back to safety. So overwhelm is when there's too much activation. You feel threatened in some way by something at work, at home, and there's fight or flight energy is coming into the body, but it's getting stuck there. Either because you don't have the capacity in the nervous system, like you've never had the opportunity to learn those skills to broaden that capacity, to really meet and allow that energy to come up and through, or maybe you don't have the safety, like you don't have the support, the people around you, or the space. Maybe you're stuck at a meeting at work and you can't let yourself have a full-blown, let the panic come through or reveal that you're feeling scared or upset or whatever it might be. And so these, the way we start to come back is to build that support and capacity, safety, to let that move through. Now, there are 2 flavors of overwhelm that are important to know about that feel quite different. They're both overwhelmed, but they come up in different ways. The first is on the more sort of fight or flight end of the nervous system spectrum. It feels more panic, anxious, urgent. It's where you're very driven to manage and control the situation. The body feels tense, but there's activation underneath. We're going to call that kind of the panic overwhelm. On the other end of the spectrum, it's the more sort of shut down, parasympathetic end of the nervous system, which is when it's like someone's pulled the power plug and your body goes into energy saving mode. In response to there being too much going on, the body kind of almost goes limp and responds by, doing even less. So it's not trying to manage or control, it's trying to hide, withdraw. And these are both, very innocent ways that your nervous system is trying to keep you safe, either by doing more and controlling or by doing less and withdrawing. So there's nothing wrong or bad about either of them, but it's helpful to know that that's what's happening. So these 7 signs, we start with number 1, is that the capacity is gone to act in the world, to do things, to engage. It feels like if you get one more email, if your spouse says one more thing, that it's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And, even tiny things start to feel too much. The second sign is that your mind tends to freeze or go blank or kind of go offline. Again, because the mind and body are so linked. So when the body is very dysregulated and at its limit, the mind doesn't really have space to function as it normally would. So you can get, brain fog, or it can feel hard to make decisions or to think clearly. The third sign is that the body will go to one of 2 extremes in those states we talked about. In the more panic state, you'll notice that the body starts to get tight, the chest, the jaw, maybe your attention goes hypervigilant. And at the same time, you kind of can't sit still. There's this agitation. That's the kind of the panic state, this combination of this active, agitated, urgent energy and this tight, braced feeling in the body that's very uncomfortable. In the other end, in the collapse spectrum, you feel sort of heavy, flat, slow, like you wanted to sort of withdraw and just curl up on the sofa till the end of time. That's the sort of opposite one, where the body's trying to keep you safe in that way. The fourth one is that your breath will start to change. So in the more panic state, you notice there are lots of micro holds of the breath. As you're doing things, you're typing an email, you might notice you hold yourself holding your breath, or it can be quite choppy and jagged. It's quite anxious breathing, shallow as well. Whereas in the more shut down state, it's kind of they're kind of small but slow breaths. So you're not breathing particularly deeply either, but it's not got this fast, jagged energy. It's more sort of slow and shallow. Quite a lot, lots of sighs and things like that. The fifth sign is that your attention changes. So in the more panic state, it's a more sort of hypervigilance. You're sort of quickly looking around as your nervous system scans for threats, and you can be paying attention to a lot at once. In the more shut down state, everything is more soft and spaced out. It's like you're not paying attention to too much in particular. It's like you've sort of checked out a little bit with your attention. In the sixth sign is that your emotionality changes. So in the panic state, you're quite on edge, quite anxious, And you can even be quite irritable as well. Like small things will make you snap because there's a lot of that fight or flight energy just under the surface, and it will break through in little bursts if something triggers you. So, you can get easily very panicked or annoyed. On the flip side, again, in the more collapsed or shut down state, it's kind of like you feel a bit more numb, a little bit more hopeless, distant, melancholic, something in that direction. The seventh sign is that you'll notice that to cope with this overwhelm, because it can be, in both these states, it can be really unpleasant and difficult to meet because when the body is dysregulated, the mind's dysregulated, your behavior is dysregulated. It's all coming together. And so you'll find that you start to reach out for coping mechanisms. And again, there's nothing you're doing wrong. This is almost happening automatically. It's like the body's, okay, I can't regulate this internally. I need something from outside to regulate myself. I need to scroll on my phone. I need to eat a packet of biscuits. I need to text my ex-girlfriend. Anything that will give me help me just to calm down and feel more regulated for a few moments. All right, so this is, again, the body just innocently defending itself. So let's get on to the somatic steps, these 5 somatic steps. First, it's worth noting, like I said at the beginning, if you try and just sort of calm down, that might help for a moment. And that's what a lot of these videos try and do, on YouTube. So just regulate the nervous system with a few vagus nerve exercises. But really, you're just repressing that activation, that fight or flight energy. It doesn't need to get pushed back in the box. It's like we need to learn to be able to have the capacity, increase our capacity to bring it up and through. And that's sort of the core skill over the long term, is learning how to meet that activation. And I've got videos on that. You can check out my video, How to Feel Your Feelings, for example, is a good starting place. So with panic, you've really got to learn to just let a little bit of that panicky feeling through, and we'll go into how to do that. In the shutdown, you don't want to let it up in such a big amount. That could be counterproductive, but you want to just take little sips of mobilization. You're just almost warming up and mobilizing the body a tiny bit to help it step out of that resignation and that withdrawn state. So the first step in both cases is to just kind of reduce the input. You need to be able to take a pause and find some space somewhere. So, it could be, you go to a free meeting room if you're at work, or if you're at home, you take a time out and you go and sit in the garden, go for a walk. Do what you can to stop adding to the load so you can actually have some space to notice what's going on. In the second step, you want to see if you can identify what's happening, whether it's the more panic overwhelm or whether it's the more collapsed state of overwhelm, or if something else is going on. It's really important to be able to discern, am I feeling more activated but stuck? That's the more panic side. Or just withdrawn and flat and sort of spaced out. That's the more shut down end of the spectrum. The third step is to start to contain and give the body system support. In both cases, that's really, really important. So, when you take your pause, you can start with just, bringing a hand to the heart, one to the belly. Maybe a little sigh. And just starting to pay attention to the feelings of the hands on your body, like the pressure, the warmth. I'm not going to go into a full sort of guided thing here, but this kind of idea, or you can bring in a little bit of touch, of just some havening where you just stroke from the top downwards. Or you could put your attention on something that feels grounding. Maybe you feel your feet on the floor and that feels still. Maybe you can put your attention in the space around your body and that feels more still. All of these help you just to get present in a way that doesn't feel too overwhelming. You don't want to dive straight into the overwhelm. Once you've taken a few minutes, and you want to really take 2, 5, 10 minutes to ground yourself and get present. Then the fourth step, this is the key one, is where we work a little bit with that activation. So if you're feeling a bit more panicked, you want to learn just to notice how that's coming to you and just allow 10% of it. So if you just drop your attention to the body, notice that swirl of activation. And see, does it feel a bit more fighty? Is it a bit more angry, irritable? Is there a part of you that doesn't want any of this? Is just pissed off with work and home, just wants to throw it all out the window? That's a bit more fight. So you can just put your hands on the wall and just press just a little bit of that energy of like, no, I don't want to do this. This is stressing me out. press that gently into the wall, like you're massaging it through your system and letting it come through. Right, that's the key. Having your attention in the body, letting that activation move. Holding it for maybe 10 seconds, then taking a step back. And you can do a few cycles of that if you want. That helps take the edge off all that energy that wants to move. Whereas if you maybe have a bit more of a flight energy, a fear energy in the body, it's like, you want to run away. You just want to get out of there. You just want to run away from this whole situation with your family or your work or your friends or whatever it is. You just want to run away. In that case, let that flight energy move. You can maybe run on the spot and shake your hands out as you keep your attention in the body with that sense of just allowing that energy, letting yourself run away. It's like, okay, I don't want to do this. I want to run away. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. Letting that sort of panic start to flow through the body just a little bit. And again, we're not going for not trying to let the whole thing come up, just a little bit at a time. You could take little pauses here, running for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, then coming back to hands on the body just to notice, to contain again, then going for another cycle or two. If it starts to get more, if too much starts to come up, you can just take a step back. With the collapse, shutdown energy, you want to go more slowly. Again, you could sort of bring the hands to the body, but really noticing the warmth. Maybe just bringing in some gentle rubs or just squeezing the muscles in your arms and gently releasing. And just swaying a little bit from left to right. It's like this gentle touch and little micro mobilizations. So that the swaying kind of communicates to your body that it's okay, maybe it's safe to be here, to engage with the moment, 2% more. If that's feeling good, you can maybe sort of start to bounce on the knees a little bit. Again, nowhere as vigorous as with the sort of the panic, the running on the spot, but just gently bouncing on the knees. Keeping your attention just connected to the body so you're noticing how you're feeling. You can shake out the legs a little bit. Again, it's much smaller, softer activation, then taking another pause just to check in. Then in both cases, you can see, just notice how you're feeling. And then either repeat another cycle, or maybe just see if there's a little bit of space now to re-engage and to, do what you've got to do. Because, I know sometimes there's things we have to do, regardless of how we're feeling. But hopefully those exercises will give you a bit of an idea how you can give yourself just 5-10% more space in these situations. And as you keep returning to practices like these and working with the overwhelm each time you feel it, even a few minutes, you start to chip away at that reservoir of flight that's within you, and you'll notice that the overwhelm states start slowly getting less and less. I do work with people one-on-one to help them, get in touch with their body, to process their emotions, their nervous system states, to come out of freeze and shut down. So if that's of interest, check out my work below. And good luck. I'll see you later. Bye.